got Gemma on, and I'm just going to say right away, you're the first person who I've never spoke to personally, never trained with. It's the first time I'm meeting, and I'm not going to pretend I know a ton about your story. So for me, it's just a case of sort of learning a bit about you, and we'll just say etc. like that. So if you want to introduce yourself, who you are, what you do.
I'm Gemma, and I'm a professional MMA fighter for PFL.
Why you
I'm just assuming we're all going round saying hi.
I'm Taylor, I'm a stupid cunt. No, obviously what Adam's saying there, the kind of main reason we had you in mind, from my lack of knowledge anyway, is there's not too many, I find, that I know of professional MMA fighters that are women, especially in Scotland. And it's just one of those ones to get a different perspective of the whole kind of story of MMA. Obviously, this podcast has been an absolute fucking cockfest. Just guys everywhere. And I think it was about time we kind of switched up a little bit. So in saying that, because obviously there's so much that is involved in your story that obviously I know from knowing you a bit, obviously knowing some of the people you train with, and so on. But I guess we'll just start from the beginning.
Okay.
You know?
Right, so do you mean like when I started MMA or just training in general?
Well, we'll start with training in general and just that kind of way how we obviously fall into things. Obviously going straight to MMA would be easier.
Aye.
But
so, well, to be fair, I don't really know. I didn't really do that much before that. But I've been kind of training like consistently for probably, say, since I was about 21, I think. But not martial arts at all. We never did anything else like this for ages. And then I worked at the Commandant Football Club and I trained the gym there and it's shut. So I joined like a local Thai gym just for a gym to use basically and kind of get into going to the classes and that there for just like extra kind of cardio and stuff. Started enjoying that, and then I joined Ayrshire Hit Squad, which is Neil's gym, which was my gym that I was at through amateur, and started there just doing striking for a while, and then it was COVID and everything got shut down, and we were like sparring in fields and all that for a while, and I mean we weren't doing anything, but anyway, so after that I kind of got convinced to try jiu-jitsu, and as soon as I did it, I just loved it. So then I got into that. I still was doing striking, but I wanted to kind of get stuck in about jiu-jitsu because I had no idea what I was doing, realised it was like dead hard and there was loads to learn. Started going to Lycans then, which is obviously how I know you, and did the beginner's course there, and then started going to MMA classes and stuff at Neil. So that was about 4 years ago, just 4 years in October there it was that I started, and then did that for a while, just did some jits comps and stuff, and then Neil convinced me to like have a fight, and I thought, I'll just like do it, see if I can get it through a camp, do a fight, it'll be like a cool thing to say I've done. And then first fight, finished it in the first round, and I was like, I didn't really feel as if I had done it. Do you know what I mean? It was finished in like a minute and a half, and I was like, I've done the camp, but I've not really I didn't feel as if I'd even had a fight.
Yeah. Bastard, I need to do it again, man.
Right. So I was like, I'll do another one. And then I done the same thing again. So then by that point, I was like, maybe I'm actually quite good at this. So then here I am. I just kept going, and now I'm a professional fighter. I'm just surprised as everybody else. It's crazy, but my first fight was just like last June. And then by like this year in like May time, I had signed my contract with PFL. So it was quite quick. But
that's crazy.
Aye.
Just in case anybody's wondering, Taylor's absolutely dying for a cold, man. That's why he sounds like that.
I know, if I sound like a fucked up radiator and anything like that, that's why.
To be fair, I've got cold too, just my voice sounds a bit deep, I think, so I'm just putting it out there, that's not what I just feel like that is actually was less, but maybe worse. Just
you were saying there, obviously you started off with some striking and then kind of went more into jiu-jitsu. Was there any sort of kind of main aspect that kind of pulled you more towards the grappling side of things?
I'm just shite at striking. No, to be fair, I bet you anyone who doesn't know that, when they hear this, will be like, what, she started with striking? Because my striking has been notoriously not that good in all my fights, but I just feel as if you kind of are naturally better at one or the other. And as soon as I started doing jiu-jitsu, I remember like when I started striking, I remember when I first started sparring, I was like, this is awful. This is terrible. I'm just getting battered. I was going home like every Friday night with like just like big lumps in my calves and all that, and be like, oh, do I go back? Whereas when I first rolled in jiu-jitsu, I had no idea what I was doing. I was getting absolutely smashed, and I was like, I love this. Like, you can't feel like that about striking because you're just getting your head punched in. It's terrible. It's not as bad when you train at like a gym where people are like careful. Obviously, like now I don't spar like that, but at the time I was just sparring in that wee Thai gym, and everybody was just going hard as fuck, and it was terrible. And then when I started like rolling in jiu-jitsu, I'm sure I went to the rolling class like a couple of weeks after I started doing PTs when you learn how to do it, and I had like honestly no idea. I always joke with my pal Will about one day we were dead excited because we'd learned a gable grip like as a defence to an armbar. I was like, oh, well, you're not going to armbar me because I've learned this new thing. That's how bad I was, and I loved it. So I was like, if you can love it when you have no idea what you're doing, I'm sure it must get better. Then I realised you never have any idea what you're doing, but I have more idea what I'm doing now, and I still love it. So it's just, I think I'm able to like do things naturally in jiu-jitsu, whereas with striking, now my striking's a little better, but I still need to really think about what I'm doing all the time. I need like James to tell me all the time to keep my hand up and do this and do that, because I'm always like, my default, what I do under pressure isn't the right things in striking, whereas in grappling I seem to just be able to like handle the pressure and still have that natural kind of sense for what I'm supposed to be doing, which it's not something I've been blessed with in striking, but my striking is getting better, just as for anybody I might be fighting.
I understand completely. My striking is shit. I done my first like MMA sparring on Monday. I get fucking leathered.
Yeah.
And genuinely I was getting like hit, and I was like, fuck it, single leg, just everybody. Like the minute, all I was throwing was a fucking 1-2 straight to the single because I was shite myself. And that's what I think's so mad, that people can just go in. Like you said, you were going home, be like, why the fuck am I doing this? It's like,
it was honestly horrendous. Like it was, but some gyms are like, especially Thai, they do spar quite hard in that, and you're just like, I used to just go in and I was just like a small lassie, just getting my head punched in and just go home and be like, that was terrible. Next week will be better. No, still the same. But I don't know, something about striking. Some folk love it, like, and then they're not as keen in grappling. I think it just must be like what you're kind of more, I don't know, just naturally drawn to. But I do love striking. I'm just saying that because I'm not that good at it. But I'm getting a lot better, to be fair. Since I've been at higher level, that's what I've mainly like focused on. So I'm enjoying it a bit more now because I feel like I kind of know what I'm doing. And I love like hitting pads and stuff, but I just feel like when it comes to fights or like hard kind of sparring rounds, I just always do better if I grapple. But to be fair, grappling and then striking on the ground, I would say, is kind of like my thing. So maybe my striking's not that bad.
I think a lot of it can be as well down to intention. Like you're saying, kind of people favour one over the other just naturally. I think it's intention as well. For me, the idea of being able to hold someone down to the point that they can't move, and like obviously you know yourself training with guys like Sharpie and stuff, like you move, you're moving into a trap, and then you move out of that trap into another one. The idea of being stuck there for me is so like demoralising compared to getting like punched and kicked in the head.
Plus in MMA you've got all these new traps where you can be stuck and get hit where you think you're safe from like a submission. So it's like there's just so much to learn and so many new things that happen. I think that's what I love about it. There's just always something that you don't know about that someone else knows about, and then before you know it, you're stuck in something that you've never heard of before. And that's
So you were talking about traps. I said this to a few people. I was rolling with Sharpie last week. No, I think it might be during this week actually. And he was also on tap now, and I went for a butterfly sweep, and it was working. I was like, no fucking way, man, I better sweep a black belt.
He's got a plan.
And then it took me about half a second to realise he was waiting for me to do that, and he just grabbed my neck, and he guillotined me. I've never felt a squeeze like it, man. I don't know what he's doing.
He's a nightmare, honestly. He always tells everybody that, so I train with Sharpie like once a week still. We just do like grappling with strikes. And he's always saying to everybody, oh, Gemma comes, rolls me, she punches my head in. And I'm like, no, I don't. He's just unreal. The way he moves about and that, I just don't have a clue what I'm doing. I do sometimes get in the top and then I'm like, oh, I could punch him for here, and then I'll go to throw something. The next thing I know, he's took my back, or I've been sweeped or whatever. So
how did you feel preparing for your first MMA fight? I know you said you'd done a few jiu-jitsu comps before that, is that right?
Yeah, so I had only done like tournaments, but I took a sub-only match, like so it would have been like the May before. My first fight was in the June, and I did a sub-only in the May just to kind of try and get used to see like walking out and all that, because that was a bit I was really nervous about all that stuff. I don't like a load of fuss and that, and I was like, everybody's going to be looking at me. Know that I realised that nobody actually really cares. But at the time, you think that everybody's like looking at you and thinking, "Oh my god, what if this person loses or whatever?" So I did that first, and that kind of helped. I think, to be honest, I was mostly focused on all that. Like, how am I going to get through the pressure of, like, I have to perform on this day at this time with this opponent. Like, that's what kind of stressed me out about it the most. And then I was kind of like, I know this sounds pure cheesy as if I'm making up, but this is actually true. I was like, if I don't win, it doesn't really matter. Because if I get in the fight and do it, that's, like, what I'm aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously I went in and got a first round finish, and I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. It was fine. But I think, like, I spent most of the camp just, like, worrying about, like, not getting injured, feeling all right on that week, making sure I made weight, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's, like, probably what you should be doing in your first camp anyway, to be honest, because that's the only thing that's different than sparring. You don't have shirries on, and it's arranged that you're going to fight a specific person in front of loads of people, and apart from that, it's not that different. So I think that was the kind of main stuff I worried about then, whereas now it's more to do with, like, who I'm fighting, what kind of stuff I need to work on, all that, what's my game plan and stuff. Whereas at the beginning, it was like, the game plan is just try and get there and see what happens.
So how does that work out the first time compared to now when you do it? Was it the exact same feeling?
Everybody was saying to me about PFL, like, oh, you must be so nervous because it's the hydro and it's a bit, like, to be perfectly honest, I actually just felt just as much pressure and nerves as I did for every other fight. And even like I signed up for a jiu-jitsu competition in January, and when I was signing up, I was like, oh my god, I'm so nervous about this. And then I was like, what are you doing? You've been fighting in the hydro in front of all these people and you're worried about this. I'm like, it's just because I care about doing a good job, I think. It's not even like I care about winning, obviously I do, but it's not just winning, it's like, what if I don't perform to my best on that day? Like, that kind of pressure is what gets to be the most. So it doesn't matter where I'm fighting, when I'm fighting, who I'm fighting, I'm still going to have that same pressure, because what I'm mostly thinking about is, like, what I'm going to do in the fight. Do you know what I mean? Which is the same for a competition, I suppose.
So do you think, I don't know if you actually know the answer to this, do you feel like that pressure's coming from expectation on yourself or your team or your family? Or
Me,
is it just
100%,
yourself?
aye. Because both, like, so obviously I was training at Ayrshire Hit Squad in amateur, and then I left there just in April kind of time after my last amateur fight and moved up to higher level. It's two totally different teams. Both teams, like, the only kind of pressure you get there is, like, to make sure you're doing everything that you should be doing in terms of training stuff. And I don't really, like, nobody really has to tell me to do that, because I was training like that even when I wasn't fighting anyway.
Yep.
And no one's saying, oh, you've got to win or anything. It's just me, like, putting it on myself. And I think, like, being undefeated comes with, like, a lot of pressure, like, on yourself again, because it's like, well, I've never lost and everyone's expecting me to win. Whereas I think, like, if you've had losses, it would bring a different type of pressure, because you would obviously don't want another one, you know how bad it is, whatever. But I think for me, I put a lot of pressure on myself to stay undefeated, and also to, like, go out and perform. And every camp, I've got a different reason why I'm putting that pressure on myself. Like that one there, it was first pro fight, first fight out at Hit Squad and going to higher level. So it's like, you're worried about, like, making sure you kind of, I thought, what if I go to higher level, then I don't do well, and then it looks bad on them, even though it's actually me, and all these things, like, you worry about. But no one else puts that pressure on me. I think, like, especially, like, my family and friends and that, they're just like, I can't believe you're doing this. Never mind, like, what the result is. They've only just started to actually understand what I'm even doing, I think. So none of them
How's that karate thing you're doing? One of them?
Honestly. But to be fair, like, my friends and, like, my sister and folk at my work and that have started, like, watching the pay-per-views, and some of them came to, like, PFL and that, and I'm like, oh, at least, like, kind of know what I'm doing now. But before they had literally no idea what I was doing. So there's no pressure from anyone except myself, I would say. But I think as well, like, kind of since I signed PFL, I've started to get a wee bit more, like, kind of media attention and that I kind of put pressure on myself because of that as well. So I'm, like, thinking that folk are going to be like, oh, look at this, who does this lassie think she is, like, doing all this media stuff? She obviously thinks, like, she's really good, whatever. That's just what I'm like as a person. No, I don't like to look as if I'm being cocky or whatever, but I know you kind of have to be like that when you're a fighter, but I'm just not.
You know, I meant to ask you this outside, my memory is awful, man, so I forgot to ask you. There was a sponsorship opportunity, is that still available?
Yeah, I've had a few people, like, come, like, to me about it. The only kind of thing that's, like, I don't have a lot of is like fight kit things. Loads of people are asking about that, and I'm only allowed 2 things in my fight kit. But other than that, like I've still got loads of spaces. So if there's
Okay.
people, that would be ideal.
I'll
Could be doing
clip
with
that.
some sponsors.
Aye.
If by the time this is released and that's not felt yet, I'll clip that, post it, and then we can get it out there. Know what I mean?
Cheers. Me just saying, aye, please, somebody sponsor me. Since I've like cut a date at my work now, so I'm still teaching 4 days, but like dropped a date at my work and I'm travelling like 120 miles a day to training. So as many sponsors I could get, the best. Because it's
that's mad as well.
aye,
See the
it's-
fucking teacher part of that as
Aye.
well. How do you? Because this is one thing I want to know. Because I sometimes sit and nearly cry myself to sleep, and I'm like, how am I going to balance training, life, and work, and all that jazz? How the fuck do you balance being
monster.
Aye, no, how do you genuinely? But how do you balance? Because this is where I can maybe learn from you to the point of like, what have I got to moan about? You know, where are my excuses coming from? How do you balance a job like teaching, where
Aye.
obviously you're not just working like while you're at the school?
Yeah.
There's stuff going into it beforehand, after. So much shit going on while you're trying to train in
Aye.
the morning.
It's
train
tough.
at night.
I've kind of just made it work around it because I was already teaching when I started. So like I've been teaching for like 8 years now. So I kind of know what I'm doing, so which helps. But just depends. Like I think like, when you're kind of in a routine, you know what you need to do. Like in my work now, I've got everything down to like a T. I know exactly what I need to do every week. Obviously things come up and that are a wee bit different, but I know how much time I need. So I just kind of fit everything else around it. So it's been great dropping the day, but like last year when I was amateur, I was still teaching full time 5 days, and I was having to like try and get out to weigh in. I was like weighing in the morning and then going into my work at like 11:45 straight after weighing in, and like it was crazy. But now I've got a Friday off, so that whenever I've got a weigh in, if I don't need to like go away somewhere, I've got that day off and I don't need to worry about it. But I just like go into work at like 7:30, stay till like 3:30 when the kids are away. Like if I don't have meetings or anything, I'll just like change and go straight up to training basically, and now I'm driving up to Bathgate, so I'm getting home at like 9:45 at night, and then just do it all again the next day. But it's worth it.
So I'm just making fucking excuses.
It's
That's what that sounds like to me.
I stay like 5 minutes away from my work, which is ideal, so I can just like be there and back quickly. But then I've got the journey to training, so but I just do that Monday to Thursday, and then Friday now I'm off, so I just go up to higher level in the morning. I stay there all day and come home at night, and then have a Saturday off. So
What do you teach?
primary 6. Aye.
Is that how it works? You just get a year and then you just always teach primary 6s?
No, so you change about every year. So I have a P6 this year and last year, and then before that we've got like a supported learning centre for like kids with like additional support needs and stuff. I worked in that for 3 years before that, and then before that I had little ones like P1s and 2s, so change about. But P6 now, which is actually ideal age for what I'm doing, because they all get it and they've been like away watching my fights on YouTube and that, whereas the wee ones don't have a clue what you're doing, they don't even care. Whereas the older ones are like into it, so they think I'm like cool and that.
It's like that.
It's been mental,
It's like
man.
Warrior, isn't it?
Never seen it.
You never seen Warrior?
I've not seen anything, man.
You've seen
Oh,
Warrior?
no, but someone told me about, is this about someone like a teacher who's
It's
a fighter
about-
or
it's
something?
about
I think
two-
someone told me
two
about
brothers.
this.
You've never seen this?
No, but I'm
Yous
sure
are
somebody
mental.
recently told me about this, and I can't remember who
Two
it was.
brothers. One's a teacher and one's AWOL from the army. Tom Hardy and I can't remember the other guy. And they end up joining. They both get their different reasons for wanting to do MMA and fight. They were wrestlers and stuff growing up. They go into this big, massive tournament. Fucking, it's like a pure, like, one championship type shit. Big fucking celebrations. And they just fight their way up. And it's just a story of, like, two brothers from a broken family that obviously rejoin through
And one's a
MMA. And
teacher.
one's a teacher. And he goes into the school, black eyes, and they're like, fucking you in the office. What you doing? So it's
my
good that
work-
you've got
I will
support.
always get black eyes in that in my work, but no one ever says
Aye.
that. Everyone just lets me
To
go
be
on.
fair, I think his were underground. Yours is a bit more,
well,
well,
aye,
professional.
fair enough.
Do you know what I mean?
To be fair, like I think like at first people at my work were a bit like, what is it you're actually doing? But
Aye.
then see when like I think kind of as I started to talk about going professional and stuff, folks started to take it a bit more seriously, and now like everything I watch dead supportive. Like my head teacher came to watch my fight in PFL.
Oh, really?
Aye.
That's class.
So yeah, it's cool, but aye, it's a bit mental, I know. But I think, see, for me, everyone's always like, "Oh, that's so weird that you do that," but I'm like, it's not really, because I feel like I was already a teacher,
Oh,
and then I just started doing MMA. So to me, it's not that weird. But Paul
Aye.
Craig was a teacher too, so
Oh, was it?
I'm in good company. History, I think.
I think,
Something like
I
that.
think it's history. I
That
think.
makes
History,
sense.
yeah.
doesn't it?
I might be
Looks
right.
like a history teacher, to be fair. I don't know what a history teacher looks like.
I was
was
going
gonna
to say, none of my history teachers looked like Paul
No,
Craig.
I
mean,
met Paul. I met Paul in college. Where did I meet him? What year was it?
I take. You know who he was at the time.
Aye,
Aye,
aye. So I met him because I remember walking into college one day. So I did. What was it? What year was it? Was it my NQ? Like fitness, health, and exercise. So he was doing his HND. Basically, just become like a PT, and obviously go to uni if he wanted to. I remember walking in. I was just like, oh, that's fucking Paul Craig in my college. That's interesting. And then one day he took us for a. You can talk to him about this after.
Aye.
He took us for a boxing class as part of his. I think it was part of his graded unit or something like that. And I remember he was getting us to do all the wee warm up drills, and he's like, right, if you can do a head spring, and fucking everybody's like, what's a
You're
head
sure?
spring? I'm like, I'm fucking right down the mat, and he goes, what's your background? I was like, oh, I'm a wrestler. And then fucking before you know it, I started wrestling again, and shit got crazy. Paul Craig might have
Same man.
played
That's
a part
actually
in it.
that's a good story. About
No,
it.
but it's mental. He's like,
Class.
he's like, what's your background? I was like, oh, I was a wrestler. And he's like, where? I was like, wrestled for Trice Lions. He's like, why have I not seen you? And I was like, oh, because I'm a lazy cunt and quit. Because I'm a lazy cunt and quit ages ago. And he's like, you need to get back into it. And then there was another boy that done jiu-jitsu. Fuck knows what happened to him. He got expelled for fucking setting the fire alarm off. But I wonder what he's up to now.
I was just a sidestep the story when him.
Aye.
Well,
No,
I'll ask
but-
Paul if he knows.
But honestly, we used to all scrap, and like there was a wee like, and if you've ever been to Broadwood Sports Centre, it's like there's a wee judo bit, just fucking shitey jigsaw match.
There's
man.
no the stadium.
What?
No the stadium.
What do you mean?
There's a Broadwood Stadium. It's no that.
No, Broadwood Stadium's attached to the centre.
Oh, is it?
I mean, we weren't in the middle of Broadwood Stadium.
I know that. I trained there for years. Played
Did
football
you?
there.
Aye,
aye.
so-
So I should probably know that. But
Aye, in the sports centre, there's a wee like fucking judo aikido bit. The fuck knows what they were doing in there. And we used to all just throw each other a bit, man. It was class. But no, I think that was the first time I met Paul.
kind of went after a tangent.
Like,
a
well,
wee
he
bit,
was a teacher. That's
That's mental, innit?
always with a teacher. But
History teacher, man. That's what? No, but come on.
I mean,
How often do you get to be like, oh, and then one day I jumped on his back and he started doing squats with me because I think he was trying to show off or something like that. Mental. What a guy, man. What a guy.
Is that it?
Aye.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, just,
That actually was a good story. I genuinely enjoyed it.
Aye.
I've known him for a few years now, and I never knew that's how you get back into it.
that is cool.
Well, it was that, and
I wonder
obviously.
if Paul knows that. Does he?
Does he fight? He doesn't even remember who I am.
I will.
I'm joking. Of course he does.
When you get
Let
him
me
on
crack open this can of Monster here. Oh, beautiful. Continue. Sorry.
What's the plans moving forwards? What's the near future like? I know you were looking for a fight before
Aye.
Christmas, which didn't, or before New Year even, but it didn't really. come in.
Aye, I like to try and get as many in as I can, but I couldn't get. So PFL had basically, they just had one more show, which was the Leon card. That's this next weekend,
Okay.
14th, next week. So none of us were on that, and I just was like to James, I don't want to wait. Can you see if they'll let me fight elsewhere? So they'd said it was alright to fight elsewhere if like I could get something, but then had a few options all fell through. So I was like, oh, just have to wait now. But I think the next PFL's March, and hopefully I'll be on that, and then hoping to be in the women's flyweight tournament, which will be next year. So this will be like the third one they've had. When I signed, they kind of said like, hopefully you'll be in that. So I don't see why not. I think I should be.
So I don't know if I've understood that right. You're saying they didn't have a problem if you were to just go and fight for somebody else?
I'm in contract with them, but as long as like they just said as long as it was like out, I think it's 3 months or something. You need to be like, you can't fight out with like in that time.
Alright.
But because they couldn't get me on that card and it was a big break, because I'm on like a developmental contract, so they want to like build you up in that. So they basically were saying like if you can get something else, like, and they would just approve the card, like approve the opponent and all that. They would let me if we could get something decent, just to let me get out, so that because they couldn't get me out, so which is pretty good of them. So
I didn't even know that was a thing, man.
Aye.
Never done that.
That's quite cool.
sometimes I think just depends. Like I think it's just because they don't have anything till March. So that was like September to March, like 5 months because it's the end of the month.
Does that happen a lot
break.
in there?
I don't know. Maybe people don't normally ask for that, but I'm just like, I was like, I don't want to wait.
Well,
James
see,
was
fair,
like,
if
I'll ask.
it's like football, innit? It's like if they put
Go
you
on loan.
Go on your aye. If we can't, no, but it's true.
Short-term loan deal.
Aye.
If we can't do anything for you now,
Aye. Well, pretty much,
so why
aye.
would we hold you back when
I was
you could-
hoping to get on BMF Scotland where I had like won the amateur title, but then they had to cancel their show. Then there was chat about a couple other shows. One of them get cancelled. One of them couldn't get an opponent, so just didn't make any difference anyway. But I can wait if I need to wait. It's just like if I didn't need to, I would have rather take something else. I'd like to get 4 in the year, but 3 will be fine, I suppose. I've still had 3 fights, which is loads, but to me that's not enough because I had like so many. Did my first 6 in 9 months, so I was like,
What?
aye. My first one was like
Jesus Christ,
24th
man.
of June, and then the last one amateur was like, I think it was like 6th of April or something. And I'd had 6 in that time. So I've had
I
like
don't train that much.
I've had like a huge break. To me, it seems like a huge break. 'Cause it was like April to the end of September.
It would, aye.
It seemed like so long, and now I'm like fucking wait until March. But
The grappling matches or anything like that.
I've signed up to a grappling comp in January. I'm going to try and sign up to a few more of them. But I could maybe do a wee sub only or something. We'll see what's on. I think this time of year's pure shite for that. I would have signed up. There was loads in December, but I only found out like it must be like last Wednesday or something. I think that I wasn't fighting, so I didn't want to sign up to any when I thought that I was fighting.
Aye.
So
December is quite
missed
shit
them
for
all.
it.
But
What one in January is it?
Empire.
Oh, I'm going down to that
Oh,
one.
are you?
Where is
I
it?
had
I think there's a good few
Cooten
from
thing for it, so I thought, oh fuck it, that's a good incentive.
Down
Barnsley.
south?
Aye.
Barnsley.
Aye. It's,
So do
it's
that.
good. Their comps are really good, I find.
Okay.
They're usually quite mobbed. I think there's like 600 people signed up already. So there's a good chance they'll be up at like 1,000 by.
There'll probably still be like one person in my category.
No.
There never is.
It's the thing, they're fucking. You just click on it and it's like, oh, unapproved.
I
You what mean?
know.
No one's even paid their money yet, and then everybody just starts falling off.
Right.
Just to
Towards
keep
the
me in
end
the
of
kind of competition like
Do you-
mindset, I want to do it.
Do you get free comps then? Is that
So you do. I think if you've had like 3 fights, but since I can't get any,
can't even fucking can't get your
Well, I don't-
seconds? Can't even fucking.
nah, you don't. I think when you've had 3 pro fights, Empire give you free entry.
Oh, it's class. Isn't
Aye.
it? So there's no excuse at that point. Not to be grabbed.
No, I know. I think it's probably just to encourage folk to do it because, especially lassies, there's like hardly anyone. There was loads in that British one there, but again, I missed the registration for that because I didn't know that I wasn't fighting. But usually there's slim pickings, there's hardly aimed in it.
Have you found that to be an issue with your MMA training? Obviously, when I've watched the higher level clips on is it James that runs that? I take it on his story. It's just you,
Yeah.
the sole like woman in the group.
Well,
Have you found that throughout like training amateur, competing amateur, and now obviously pro?
yeah,
There's not many.
definitely. I've got to a point now where I'm just like, I've just accepted that I'm just going to be training with guys and that's it. Like, I don't mind. I'm happy to train with guys, but sometimes like it's good to get a bit of training in with girls as well, like your own size or whatever, because there's a huge difference. Like, and see, especially grappling, like someone my weight, but a guy, the strength difference is massive, and it took me ages to like accept that. For ages, I was like, nah, like it's not good enough. I should be able to, but I'm like, nah. There is like loads of research to say that like there's always going to be differences, and that's just going to be the way it is. But I think like there was like a girl when I trained at Hit Squad. There was another girl who trained there consistently, but she was like smaller than me. There's no really anyone. There's a couple of girls at higher level, but just one that just does striking, and another girl who's just in like now and again, not in all the time. So there's no one else, like certainly no pros and no like even really any amateurs there at higher level. None of them are fighting, so just me really. And there's no as far as I know, I don't think there's any other girls fighting professionally in Scotland anyway either. MMA, I don't think so. So aye, there's not really anyone for that. There's a couple of girls in England. I've been like there to do rounds and stuff before just to get them in, but it's not really. I think, to be honest, I'm best just like training with them. I think they maybe train at higher level as well. It's like James will just set me up rounds that are kind of suitable for me, and especially with the kind of higher level people. Like, I don't mean higher level of the gym. I mean like level.
Yeah.
It sounds as if I'm
get
being
you.
pure cheesy. But anyway, they can kind of tone it down a bit to suit like me, whatever. But it's a bit of a pain. But I think I just don't really care whether I'm training with girls or boys. A lot of girls are like they want to train with girls and it's would maybe put them off, but I think I'm quite like a boy anyway. Like that's probably how I've got into it, but I get on well with guys. It doesn't bother me training with guys like at all. I think like there's probably benefits, loads of benefits for me doing most of my training with guys. When I go in and like roll with girls and that, I'm like, oh my god, like I can actually do stuff now. It's great. There is girls that do jiu-jitsu, like there's Buffy, she trains at like Metatech at Cammy Donnelly's. I get some rounds in with her and stuff. There is like women's open mats at MMBGG, I'll go to them, like so can get like grappling rounds in with girls. But there's just a lack of MMA girls about. But
so was that no concern for you at all, even when you first started, that it was just going to be for guys?
no, never
good,
bothered
man.
me. Never.
Do you find that training with guys, it's forced you to change up your approach a little bit? Do you think when you go into fights now after having done like maybe kind of harder sparring rounds with guys, that because obviously you mentioned there the differences in strength and power, do you go in that bit more confident that like I've fucking dealt with X, Y, Z? Like, do you find that, especially going like that first pro match, that there was kind of nothing they could really do?
Yeah, I think like there's kind of two sides to it. I'd say like obviously I think the main kind of things with the like guys is they're stronger and their reaction times are a lot quicker. So because of that, then I've kind of got to work around that and training. And so then I think like, well, even if this person's faster or stronger than me, like that's nothing I've never dealt with before. But then there's still that kind of, I don't know, there's other bits of it where you're like, well, what if like it feels different?
Yeah.
And then I'm not used to that. Because things like wrestling, like you'll know yourself, like there's a huge difference wrestling with someone who feels like lighter and it doesn't necessarily mean it's easier because it's different. So like if you're not used to it, plus like I'm lighter as well because I've been cutting weight, so then the difference between me and the other person like is so much smaller again, and that kind of thing all has an impact. But I just don't really think about it like that at all. I think at the beginning when I first started training, I just assumed there was going to be girls, and then I realised there wasn't, and I was like, oh well, I'm just used to training with guys anyway. I had like guys to train with at Hit Squad that I got on really well with and still like speak to now and that, and they're dead like supportive of my training and that. It wouldn't be any different if they were girls. And now like I don't know, I just don't even think it's that weird being the only girl.
No, that's fair.
But I think I'm just quite a kind of, I don't know, I can see why it would put some girls off. I'm just kind of like quite boyish anyway, so I think that's probably why it doesn't bother me.
Aye.
But guys, I think one thing I would say is maybe when you go to things like, see, the more I'm kind of getting into like, say for example, like PFL or doing media things and that, there is a wee kind of hint of like, are people going to take me seriously because I'm a girl? Which I think maybe comes from the fact that I'm the only girl. So then I kind of feel like, oh no, what if like everyone just thinks I'm just a girl and that's how I'm here? Because there's not as many girls. I think like I've definitely been lucky in the sense that there's not as many girls, because that's probably why I've been able to get to where I am so quickly. But do people then think like I don't deserve to be there? Because if I was a guy, I probably wouldn't be where I am now, like, this quick. But so things like that I think are harder to kind of deal with when you're the only girl, because you don't have anyone to like talk to about it, in the sense of like there's no other pro females in higher level for me to like kind of bounce that off of, because they're all guys, so they don't know. Like, do you know what I mean? But and when I first like went to higher level and started training with like the people that are there, it was quite like intimidating. Obviously they're like, at Neil's like we're all amateurs, and I had kind of probably went the furthest there in amateur, and when I went to higher level I was like bottom of the barrel. Everybody was like pro or really high level amateurs, and I was a bit like, oh, what if there's like not going to take me seriously here because I'm a girl? But then after a while you realise like no one thinks like that. It's just like stuff that you make up to like worry about. But that's probably the only part of like being like the only girl that is kind of different for me. But I don't care about like training with guys, to be honest. I just like want them to accept me to train with as if I was a guy, so that I can just get the same training as everyone else. Like, and James is good at like making sure I get decent rounds and got people to train with that are like good for me regardless like of being a girl. So I think he makes it work like well, which helps. But aye, maybe some more girls might start, who knows.
But that was kind of, I was saying to Adam when we were walking down, that's one of the one of the main reasons we wanted you on. It's like, who's going to be the face? Do you know what I mean? Like, who's going to be the face of female MMA in Scotland? Like, female grappling and so on. It's like, there needs to be someone
We had Joanne Calderwood, and like, obviously, she's moved away to America and stuff, and maybe like, when she was in UFC and that, I think there's, like, MMA wasn't as popular. It's starting to get really popular now, and obviously, like, she's just retired, so that's kind of like, maybe a lot of people who are just kind of starting to look into it won't know who she is or whatever. But no, I think recently with some of the media stuff I've done, I've had a wee bit of kind of feedback, like in social media, like girls messaging me saying, "Oh, that's really inspiring, like to see that you started it so late as well." See, like, because I'm 34 now, so I was 30 when I started training MMA. So my first fight, I would have been 32. Aye, no. Oh God, I can't remember that out. My teacher. I'm 34 now, and 32 I would have been when I had my first fight. So that's pretty old. So I think, like,
For what?
For
MMA, is that old?
I'd say it's quite old to have your first fight.
For your first fight, it's probably an older side, aye.
Aye. So I'm an old woman. I'm still, here I am. So maybe other old women will be inspired. No, I think like some girls have messaged me saying, like, it's cool to see like someone doing that, like when you're a bit older and you're a teacher and all that. So I'm like, well, even if it just gets them to even know what MMA is, or see even if it gets them to like go and do like jiu-jitsu or whatever, just like something that's a sport that's going to help you to be a bit more like kind of self-sufficient in terms of like defending yourself and all that kind of stuff. Even if it's just for the purpose of that, like it can only be good for folk to see it and get into it, I suppose. But even just for folk to keep themselves fit and do something, I think.
Like, so it could be benefit on the side in it, what you're doing to sort of inspire folk, man. I don't even think about that when I think about people in your position, know what I mean? Until you sort of mention it. And stuff that you say on the mic and all that's going to have an effect on some people that are watching.
Aye, hopefully. But I think like it gives you like a confidence. I don't know, being a girl, like I think you do always have that wee feeling of like I don't know, maybe it's not just being a girl, but like walking about yourself or whatever, you've got to be a bit careful. Where I think like I'm not really worried because if anybody tries to like pick on me, it's going to be a tough fight. So I'm like, I think everybody should have a wee bit of that up their sleeve, and if girls can like go and do, I think jiu-jitsu is the best thing for that, isn't it? But plus then there would be like loads of girls at competitions and that would suit me.
Yeah.
Aye.
I know, absolutely.
Just to sign up for that.
Well, I was going to ask you this, I didn't know you were a teacher until yesterday. Somebody mentioned it. Something's been on my mind. You're just talking about how important it is to have these sort of skills. Do you think should it be taught at school? Something like that? I
mean,
or could it be taught at school?
I don't know if so. I've asked before if I could do like a wee club or whatever. I think it's like insurance that's the issue, because obviously if I've got them like doing jiu-jitsu or whatever and something happens, it's a bit dodgy. I think you need like special insurance and all that, and they probably just can't be bothered like putting that kind of thing in place. But I definitely think it'd be a brilliant thing to get more kids into. Like, but there is like Lycans does kids classes in Kilmarnock where I stay, and there's like kickboxing and stuff for kids, and like a few of the kids in my classes and that have go to things like that, and I've been kind of getting into it and like looking into it because I've been doing it, which is pretty cool. So, and wee girls, like there was a wee girl in my class last year that had her first fight as well in Thai when I had mine, so it's cool. But
how's she gone?
Aye, she won it. She's she got one actually today, another one. It's cute, but I think like it would be class to be able to do that, and the kids are always asking me like at work all the time, like, oh, why can you not do a club? Can we not do that? And I'm like, well, it's not really up to me, but I would love to do it. I think it's just there is still that thing in there about like martial arts. Some of it is a bit like, oh, we can't have them like punching each other and that. I'm like, that isn't just what we do. Like there is way more to it than that. But no, I would love to do it. I helped like at Lycans for a while with the kids' classes and stuff, and I loved it. It was great. And the kids like see some of the kids at higher level. I'm like, watch them when I'm waiting for the class to start. I'm like, they're probably better than me. If they were my size, I'd be absolutely done for. But aye, I would love to be able to like bring that into school, but I think I just don't know if I can see it, because I think it's just probably so much hassle. No, like you'd have to jump through so many hoops to get it going. I think that's the problem with a lot of stuff, really, in schools. But
aye, I find like schools promote the, don't know how you would word that. We'll just go with superstar sports, like No, but they are. They're
I know what
they're
you're saying,
promoting
aye.
like the big money,
Football, it's always
the
football.
big money, fame, and flashy sports, and it's like, and obviously, we wonder why everybody comes a wee dick that does sport in high school, and then you find the one couple people that do MMA or grappling or whatever, and they tend to be
Aye.
a wee bit to themselves, and it's like, I feel like there's a different type of discipline that you get from martial arts compared to like I say, the kind of flashier sports. Because realistically, it's no fun. Like, it's fun,
Aye.
but it's, do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Aye.
like
Aye, there's parts of it that
Aye,
definitely are the fun.
it's like
but
football when you watch it, it's like, obviously apart from when they take a hissy fit, it's like MMA, you don't have a chance to do that.
I think like the thing with football is it's so popular for kids because it's so accessible.
Aye.
You do not need anything apart from a ball. You just go out and play football with your pals. I think that's why they'll get into it then. Like, that's why there's so many clubs, because the kids already got the skills and know what they're doing. Whereas, can you just go out with your pals and like day boxing? But the thing is, they probably go out and wrestle each other all the time. But there needs to be opportunities for stuff like that. And I think I would say like kids in my school that are like fighting in that, if I speak to them about it, they'll listen to me, because I'll say like, would you think I'm just going out and punching somebody if I'm annoyed?
Aye.
Like, and I'm a fighter, and they're like, you can see them thinking, oh right, well, I definitely think it would be brilliant for them to see that kind of discipline, like what you're saying. But I just don't know if it's like something they could do in the school. But if there was more like kids kind of clubs about, and if they weren't expensive, because that's the thing as well, like in areas like the area where I teach is like, some of the kids don't have a lot of money and stuff, the families are kind of struggling, like they wouldn't be able to go if it's like really expensive, you know. Like MMA is such an expensive sport, and jiu-jitsu in particular is expensive. But there is, we are lucky because we've got Lycans in Killie that's got a kids jiu-jitsu, but I don't think there's like loads of places that have that. And there's a Thai gym in Kilmarnock, Kama, as well, which is like, their kids program's really good, so we've got that. So we are like, in terms of like wee towns, we're doing pretty well for having stuff like that. But I know some places don't have anything like that. So, and there's not a lot of kids MMA. In fact, like, I don't even really know. I don't think there's anywhere around. Grip House does kids, but I don't know if they have kids MMA. There's not really many places at all, I don't think, for that. But maybe soon, if it starts, like, I mean, it seems to me like MMA is becoming like bigger, like at quite a high rate now. So if it does keep like that, maybe there'll be more stuff for kids about. No, I'll combine my two things, teaching and MMA, and I'll teach them.
Well,
I love that.
That's the thing in it, because like, I've been trying to get my nephew into wrestling. I was showing him all sorts of old like Olympic videos and that, and he just started greeting, and I was like,
Oh, I thought
what age is
like
he?
Wayne's would
What?
love that.
7. So that's the thing. When I was 7, I started wrestling, and I'm like, you know what? He's getting to that age now. I feel like this is an appropriate time to show him Yo Romero in
Aye.
the Olympics. I think it's time. And I showed him it, and he was like, I don't want to watch it. I was like, I'm fucking watching it.
Oh,
Just because of the impacts and all that.
And then he just was not a fan. And I was like, I've just forced my nephew into watching guys throw each other about. I don't think that's good.
What about any striking? Have you showed him that?
No, he doesn't need to see that. That's, my mum still pure thinks MMA is brutal.
Oh, it's
She's like,
brutal.
why do you not just do
I know it is
she's like, why do you not
actually
just
pretty
do wrestling? And she's like, I'm alright with that. And I'm like,
so you've started training MMA?
yeah,
You enjoyed it?
sure. Just
Like, you'll fight?
I'm just shite. That's what it is. But it's that way that, like, when I started wrestling so young, I can't even remember how shite I was. And then
Aye.
I started jiu-jitsu like 2-3 years ago. I can't remember how shite I was. Now I'm coming back and I'm a bit more aware, and I'm like, fuck, I'm terrible.
Aye.
Like, went my first Thai class, what would it have been, last Monday? Aye, fucking awful. No idea what to do. Sitting there like trying to check kicks. I'm like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? And I've got to grip house, so I Dean like, right, just like obviously block where the kick's coming from. So obviously, you know, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? I've got this wee boy just like kicking fuck at me. And then he was telling me how to do it, and I'm like, mate, thank you so much, but this isn't going through my head right now. And then
The
we got
thing
to,
is, I think when you're doing drills and that, you can be like, all right, this is all I need to do. But then as soon as you get into sparring, it's just like that. It just all goes out the window. I'm like,
aye.
chin up in the air,
Well, that's
double legged immediately.
That's the thing. Like, we went into sparring. My first round was that boy pieced me up. Then I had to hit the bag, and I'm like, I don't know much to hit the
Aye.
bag. I was like, I'm just gonna sit here for 2 minutes, just throwing like a 1-2. Do you know what I mean? I was like, fuck it, and I'll just pretend I know what I'm doing. And then went into my third one and get teeped about 40,000 times. Just took a step forward, fuck you, like 300 booty through the chest. And I was
Yeah.
like, so I don't know what I'm doing here. And I asked him after it, I was like, how are you doing that? He's like, just good timing, mate. They're never that good. And I was like, I'm fucking shite.
Is that not what everybody feels but when they start something?
Aye.
Maybe it's
I was
like-
just thinking that in jiu-jitsu, the equivalent's probably like just getting, I don't know, armbarred over and over again or whatever,
Aye.
which does happen, but maybe just like, I don't know. Maybe because that seems like wrestling, that wasn't as bad.
Nah,
Or
well,
maybe you are actually just pure shite.
Maybe.
It might be- Gemma said like it could be like you just naturally
Aye.
take to grappling better.
Listen,
Oh,
you,
no, my
can, you can
striking's
still
gonna-
get pretty far with shite striking.
see, I
That's
can
how-
do, I
see?
can do, see the thing is, I can do some mad shit. I just can't do it well. Everybody goes like that, fucking, you're tiny, you're not going to be able to do much. I'm throwing head kicks, I'm doing that jumping, spinning GSP shit.
Maybe this is the problem because you've only just went to your first class last week and you're trying to throw all these. Just stick with like some simple,
No, but it's
just a wee jab.
It's genuinely when I watch fighting, I'm like, if I just replicate, like, one of my favorite fighters to watch is Fazayev, so I'm like, I can just fucking do some cool Thai shit, and then I get punched in the
Spinning,
face. I get
knocked
punched in the
out.
face, and I just go for a single leg, and I'm like, ah, fuck, you want me to do that? That's
Jake, you'll fight. Are you going to do a fight?
I want to.
Oh, that's class.
Like, I actually, like, as much as I'm saying I'm shite and all that, like, I actually am shite because I'm new.
Aye, but your
But it's
wrestling's
not.
class.
But it's not a lack of confidence. And by calling myself shite, it's like I'm literally just shite because I'm new. But no, I'd love to fight.
But how would it work? But right, see if you gets like an amateur fight, and it's somebody else who's been recently started training MMA, but he's got all this wrestling experience. How would that work?
They'll try and match you somebody like so. Like recently, someone I know, Robert Pettigrew,
Mm-hmm.
trains at Neil's now.
Yep.
He had like his MMA debut, and obviously he's a brown belt jiu-jitsu. So I was a little bit like, oh god, imagine taking a fucking debut and it's somebody else that's like somebody that's a brown belt. You're a white belt. You've never had to
Aye.
fight. But they got him someone else that was a brown belt. So it just depends. That's the thing. Like you think, oh, there's not going to be anybody out there like similar, but you could get somebody maybe that's like as specialist as you are in wrestling, but in kickboxing or whatever, I suppose. Or something.
I don't know if
So-
that's fair.
I would imagine
I think
not
it was
just
that
like
man who's taken down.
your
What?
I think
average
it's like that.
debut person isn't going to take like a fight against you,
That's the annoying thing.
but you might get someone who there is some folk that would, but you might get someone else who's like got a wrestling background or something that is like looking for a
My
fight.
debut is going to be fucked, man. Honestly, I need to get my weight sorted anyway before I even think about fighting. I'm too big.
If you do loads of striking, it'll come down.
Or I could just stop being a fat cunt and eating all the time.
I mean that.
that would probably help. Genuinely, see when I started jiu-jitsu, I was like, thank God, weight classes are a bit more lenient. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
And then I was like, we'll start MMA. And then I started looking at the weight classes properly, and I was like,
Aye, it's like
they're just
like a
height
huge
they're just
allowance.
height classes in disguise. That's how
Yeah.
I see weight classes. Like anything's like, what is it? 170 and above is just like giants
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
But even then, you've got guys 155 and under that are like 6 foot. So I just need to find where I slot in.
You can get like you can just go in wherever. There'll be tall and small people in all the
Well, I
weight
like that wee
classes.
thing with guy. Guy that was in Contender Series. Torres, is that his name?
I'm not sure.
He's like 5'7", fights at 185.
What's that in kilo?
84, I think.
84.
So
So what
he's-
do you think you'd go? 77?
I don't know. That's the question. Probably. I feel like 77 would be small enough that I can move well, but not.
So small
Two-
that you have to go in a mad diet.
That I need to kill myself to get there.
Even if you did that for your debut and then try and go to 70.
I don't know. I'm just trying to make sure I can throw a decent punch first. You know what
That's
I
why
mean?
you're going to training on it.
I know
Pick
it's
it up.
true. I know. I was like that for Chris's obviously matchmaking for Goliath in February.
That's
like,
when I had my debut.
And I said to him, I was like, is February too early to start? He's like, yes, mate.
Aye.
He's like, yes, mate, start sparring first. And I was
They usually have a few a year, to be fair. That's my debut was in Goliath, and I got a title in there too. It's good show.
aye.
They're good at getting people too, so you'll get someone. They'll find you someone. Maybe they'll just need to lie and say you
I've
can't
done fuck all.
How have you found the full
Once fight
setup and all
white
that in comparison to like the amateur shows to the PFL?
I think like all the bit in the lead up to it is where the biggest differences are. See, like all the media stuff, they were coming out to like the gym and filming us doing things, and went like to the hydro a few days before it, did like the face off, which was that video you've probably seen. It was outside, it was absolutely freezing, had a big jacket on, all that. Not what I was expecting. Stuff like that. Like we never, like usually amateur shows you just like rock up on the day, get your blood pressure checked, and you're fighting in an hour. That's what it's like. But I think, see, because I did that Cage Warriors Academy, that was my last amateur. I had to go to London for that, so I went, like, stayed in a hotel, did a face off, like, did a wee in front of everybody and that. So that kind of was my first experience of that, which helped, because when I went to do PFL, it was all that, but just a wee bit kind of bigger scale. So I'd already had a wee kind of shot of that, whereas before that, it was just like wee in your kitchen, like someone films you saying a password, turn up on the day and that's it kind of thing. So it is different. It's just the fight's not any different though.
Aye.
That's the thing.
Once
like,
you're in there, you kind of forget about it a wee bit. Aye.
The fight's the same. Like you're still doing the same thing. That's what, like, in that last camp, I just kept saying to myself, like, what is actually going to be different? I'm going to be wearing different gloves, and I'm going to be doing 5-minute rounds instead of 3. And that is basically the only difference. And in PFL, or up until that point anyway, there was no elbows. I think they're introducing elbows, maybe, I'm not sure, but they are for this card, because they don't have them, I think, because of tournaments. They don't want folk getting cuts and then having to pull out of fights. But so I didn't even have that difference in the rule set. I could get kneed in the head, or I could knee somebody in the head. Different gloves, different length of time in the rounds, and that is literally the only difference when you're actually in the cage. So it's a bit like all this other stuff doesn't really matter. Like I tried to look at it all as like, this is just cool that I'm getting to do all this, like, and then the fight will be the same. So it was obviously like fighting in the hydro was amazing. Like it was so cool to do that and everything. But like in terms of the actual fight, nothing changed. It was just like kind of different lead up. But
well, I think you'd be able to tell fought in it, but you fought in the hydro, man.
I know. And I was the first fighter, Scottish fighter anyway, in 7 years to fight in the hydro for MMA, because there hadn't been a show for that long.
Did they give you the gloves like beforehand, so you can get a feel for them or not?
No, so I've got a set that someone gave me in the gym, but no, they never gave me any. I just had, and I got like gloves on the day that I had to wear. It's weird, but I had trained in pro gloves and I trained in PFL gloves a few times, but we don't wear them for sparring anyway because they're small. But see, the thing is, like all these things, I'm terrible for like worrying about stuff like that. Like, oh my, like, see, it was funny to be fair. Dylan Chuk that I trained with, he was in my corner and he was like, after that, I said, well, I think I stayed quite calm. I think I was that nervous. He was like, Gemma, you were fucking horrendous. And he was like, you went on about the gloves. He said, as soon as you get the gloves on, you're saying, this bit's too tight. This doesn't feel right. That's why I'm like, everything. I'm worrying about like stupid stuff, like the way my hands are wrapped. That bit feels too tight. I can't feel this bit of my thumb. This bit's not right. This bit's not right. Then you get into cage and you honestly, like, I wouldn't even know if I had the gloves on because you just like forget all about it. But it's just like trying to control stuff before you go in. I think worrying about like wee daft things like these gloves feel different, or
it's easier, isn't
like,
it distracts you from what's about to happen.
Yeah,
and it's just that subconscious excuse, in it. It's like in your head, it's like you're always gonna have them.
And nothing ever
I didn't
goes.
eat my breakfast this morning.
Aye, nothing ever goes to plan. Like they say, you're going at this time, you're never on at that time. You're waiting till you go out and you're hanging about and stuff, and then you're like getting cold and everything. It's just like there's so many wee things. Like, but over time, you kind of realise like this is not going to be like. I mean, there was one fight. It was when I was in Goliath. Actually, I failed my medical like 4 times, and it was because my blood pressure was high, and I was getting worked up about it, and then it was getting higher and higher and higher, and I was like freaking out, and everything. It was terrible. Stuff like that, you just can't ever predict that. Like, not once did I ever worry about my blood pressure. I just turned up every time, did the medical, that was fine. Went that day, they were like, oh, your blood pressure's a bit high. And I was like, what? Does that mean that I've not passed this? And they were like, uh-huh. Then they were like, oh, go and come back. And stuff like that. And you're like freaking out about it. And then I'm like, right, it's not that big deal. Like, they're either going to let you fight or you're not. There's nothing I can do about it. But stuff like that on the day are all the wee things that stress you out that normally you would just be like, who cares? But I always worry about stupid stuff like that, but every single time I've meant to be fighting, I've been there. Same as like injuries in camp. Every time I like have one tiny injury, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be me out the fight. And I'm like, has that ever happened? No, calm down. But you just, like you say, it's just like, what can I like focus on as something to worry about? And that's like, but so far, everything's been fine for every single fight. I'm always like, worrying about random things, so it doesn't really make any difference. Just when it was PFL, I had like loads of cool stuff going on at the same time as worrying about all the wee silly things. But I'm hoping the next one will be somewhere cool. Because I think that's the thing. The hydro was amazing for the first one, but I'm like, how are they ever going to top that?
Aye.
Because folk were like, oh, where would you like to fight? And I was like, to be honest, I think that was like my ideal place. It would be cool to like go somewhere like, I don't know, like New York or something, but I'm like, Glasgow, like that's never going to be anything else like that. I'm hoping maybe if I'm in the tournament, then I'll be in the final, it would be at the hydro. That would be amazing.
How are the Scottish fans?
Class. And that was the first fight. So I did I kind of convinced myself, because I hate all that, like I hate a fuss, and I just convinced myself that because I was the first fight, nobody was going to be there yet. But obviously I knew like that was the first time ever I'd let anyone come and watch me, like any of my pals or anything. Usually I just said, no, nobody's coming. So I knew they'd be there. But I was like, hopefully no one else is there yet. So it's not like a big crowd. And then when I was walking out, I was like, oh my God, there's fucking hundreds of folk here. And I was like watching, there was a wee telly like in the changing room, and I kept like looking to see if anybody was here. I was like, oh, it looks like hardly anyone's here. That's great. And then when I walked out, there was loads, and actually it was amazing. I loved it. Because obviously everybody wanted me to win because I was Scottish. So that helps.
What was your walkout song?
It was Jerry Cinnamon, Belter.
Oh, actually, and you know, I wouldn't lie, I remember it. I remember thinking, oh, that's cool. Reece McKeown walks out to Cantor, didn't he? Aye.
Normally, like I haven't walked out to anything like that before. I usually, I like Kanye West, and I've walked out to Jesus Walks for like all my title fights. And then I'd walked out to like a couple of different kind of like, hip hop things before that. And then I was like, oh, I need to pick something Scottish this time. So I went that. It was cool. I liked it. But I think like if I don't know, it was cool because it was like a home crowd and it was dead busy and that. Whereas if it had been the opposite, I'd have probably hated it. But it was cool. And then when I watched it back, I was like, that is amazing. Like see at the end when I had won and I was up the cage, I was looking about and it was mobbed. I was like, I thought I would hate this, and I loved it. It was great. So aye, it was like an experience like I'll never forget. But hopefully I get another one like that soon.
Aye. How difficult is it to climb on the cage?
Oh, it's a piece of piss.
Is it?
Oh aye.
Like,
Just jump straight up.
I'd get my fucking fingers caught, and my toes, fucking everything would be gone.
Oh, straight up. To be fair, I like climbing. I'm quite good at climbing. I don't know why. I don't ever have an issue with climbing things. I just jumped up. It was fine, and I'm quite small.
It's the guys that climb it and then backflip off it. I'm watching that. What the fuck, man?
It is the fear though. Imagine you tried to climb up and you couldn't get up. That'd be dead embarrassing.
Gaethje did it a couple of times, didn't he?
Whenever I get people climbing cages, it's Habib climbing there, fucking like jumping 2 foot, stomping Dylan down.
Oh, well, you're not allowed to climb over. They said to us, like, I think Mark actually did it to be fair, but they said to us like, oh, don't like go over because you can get like some mad like fine. I can't remember how much it was, but it was like tens of thousands, and I was like, better not do that then.
That's ridiculous.
Don't know why. I think some insurance thing. I don't know, but I didn't jump all the way over. But I jumped up. It was class. But it would be embarrassing if you couldn't go.
Was it not they were given in the UFC? They were given fines because I remember something came out with Mohamed Mokaev. Mind he get fined like every fight because he kept climbing the cage. It was either climbing it and jumping over it, and like every fight he kept getting fined.
Must be jumping there because
it was like
everybody climbs it.
It was like $5
you can go up it. I think it's going over it. I don't know why that matters, but I think it's going out the cage and.
I think it's the fear of obviously people getting involved with the crowd and the crowd getting involved with you in it. You just put yourself and other people in danger. And like I say with Habib, fucking like jumping 2 foot, stomping people, like that's insane.
Do you like? I love Christmas, man. You don't like it?
I hate Christmas.
No, I don't like it either. I'm a pure Grinch.
How is it? See, going into school at Christmas time for Saturday?
It's mental. It's actually mental. The full seat, honestly, it's like 1st of December, everybody goes crazy. And then that's you, and you've got to be in there till sometimes like the 23rd of December. It's a mission. But, I mean, we get by. That's like, we had our Christmas fair yesterday. I missed it because I was off on a Friday. And then after that, see, once you've had like anything Christmassy on in the school, especially the women's, they're just like, all right, well, it's Christmas now. So what we doing? why are you expecting us to do work? Is it not Christmas?
Aye.
But it's no easy. But it's nice too, because like I don't have kids or anything, so being around like all the Waynes and that, they're all dead excited and stuff. It's cute, but it's also like they're all just hyper. And I do always think, see, when I had the wee ones, right, so they're like only 5 or 6, and I'd get dead frustrated towards Christmas because I'd be like, oh my God, I just can't get them to do anything, they're not behaving and that. And then I'm like, they think like it's like this many sleeps till Santa's going to come and leave them presents. Like, they are buzzing. Of course they don't care about what I'm telling them to do. Like, of course you wouldn't. Like, if they're at home going, oh, it's 6 sleeps till Santa comes, then they're coming out of school and I'm like, right, get your jaws out, let's do stuff. Like, obviously they're going to be mental, but it is cute being around them all, like, when they're all excited and, like, they tell you what they want to get and all that. But, aye. We do, like, loads of good, like, fundraising stuff and that in my work, and, like, Cash for Kids and that come in and give stuff to the families and that, which is all dead nice. So there's loads of good stuff happening, but it's also tiring because when you're trying to organise your own Christmas too. But
I was actually going to say, the thing, I love Christmas because obviously you spend more time when you're filming up, but see, like, I always think about families that can't get their ways
Yeah.
in, and that I find that
fuck's
super sad, man. And I don't like
It
when
is.
people post pictures of all the gifts and all that. I know they're happy, but
I know.
I don't like all that shit. But see, just everybody kind of gets together. That's what I like about it. I think it's brilliant, man.
Well, I
Yeah.
think people forget. It's like once you hit fucking a certain age, it's like you realise that Christmas is fuck all to do with that.
And I think there's like a lack of routine. I hate that, and I hate like training's off and that. Again, that's like dead boring. But see, like, it annoys me like that I'm off for 2 weeks and like training's different, and I'm like, I
Aye.
wish I could just be like training like normal. It's don't
I'm
like
the
change.
same. Like, see, when the buses get fucking, when the buses
Stuff like that's
change,
annoying.
and I'm like, fuck, how am I going to get to training? And then you remember training's not even on,
Aye.
and then your fucking work schedule changes. You're like, there, I've missed fucking 2 sessions because I'm doing a 10-6 now instead of that, and you just fuck it. And then, like I was saying to you, we're out there, and everybody just forgets that they're all pricks outside the Christmas time. Do you know what I mean? We're sitting walking, everyone's cheerful, and I'm like, I know you fucking hate your life, you a bastard, and I'm trying to convince me here.
That's what I like about Taylor. Just says what he thinks, man. Just
Fair enough.
They won.
I mean, I do
How many
hate
people
Christmas
got
Day,
in our way?
but I feel like it's quite crabby to say hate Christmas,
aye.
and everybody's probably just like, oh, that's dead miserable. But it's just, I don't know. I just don't like it because it changes my routine, and I don't know. Maybe I'd like it if I was just like sitting about eating chocolate the full time. And
My thing is just it's forced on you, innit?
I forced organised fun, and I don't
Aye.
like that.
It's like, oh, you don't like Christmas? Prick, you hate the Waynes. It's like, mate. I think I've just never really liked Christmas. I had to go and I'd eat the scran, and I'm like, right,
I like the dinner.
I'm boosting, and it's like, oh, do you know what? I've done what I've came to do. Food, say all right, leave.
do your families get quite into Christmas?
I don't really have very many like folk in my family. I've just got a sister and a brother, and so they both go and do their own thing at Christmas. So I've just been like, recently, past few years, I've just been like tagging along my pals' family. But the bad thing about that is now I'm partly responsible for organising like the dinner and that. So then it gets even more shite because it's not even like you just turn up and eat the dinner. Now you have to cook the dinner, and I can't be arsed with that either. But like my sister's got kids. I've got like 2 nieces and a nephew, so I like it for them,
Uh-huh.
and I like
Aye.
buying for them and going round seeing them, and they're all buzzing. That's like probably the only bit of it I like, and then eating the dinner, pigs and blankets. That's probably it. But aye, my wee brother's no bothered. He's a fireman. He just works, so we're not really like a Christmassy family. So that probably, I think if you've got like a family that pure love Christmas and make like big good dinners and all that, you'd probably love it. Maybe I'm just miserable because nobody makes my dinner.
What about you?
I don't know, man. Well, nah, we don't really. I used to always open my presents the night before. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, midnight. Well, that's
What? You can't do that.
That's obviously no night before, but my mum would just come into my room like, I'm going to my bed, so love you, and I'm like, oh, I love you too.
Don't wake me up in the morning.
But
That's
genuinely,
what that
she's
is,
like
man.
to me, what do you want for Christmas? I was like, what do I need? Do you know what I mean? I was like, I need a pair of gloves. Do you know what I mean? Just, we've never really liked Christmas. Like, she came in and she's like, what are you doing for Christmas? And I was like, nothing. She's like, right, well, you're coming to your sister's. I was like, fair enough. That's fair enough. I'll come over, I'll scran the dinner, play PlayStation with nephew, boost.
Fair enough.
What about you?
Uh,
You're one of these cunts that loves
Aye,
Christmas,
he's
ain't
getting
you?
the hunters of plan. He's
Look
got
at
his
you, I
Santa's
can
grotto
fucking
and
see
that.
it.
No,
You've got everything, man. Fireplace, fucking.
no, we're actually no. Just we just always go and have dinner. My mum would put decorations up and that, and do a wee bit of gifts, but it's nothing mental.
That's quite mental compared to us.
Aye, compared to yours.
We are miserable bastards, aren't we?
To be fair, I've got a nice Christmas tree, but it's just an excuse to put a nice tree up my living room. It's pink and that. That's why I've got it. It's not because
Fuck,
Christmas.
we've not even done a Christmas tree in like a year or two. Fuck, man, that's depressing. I just watched The Grinch. That's what I see Christmas as. Time to watch Jim Carrey, laugh a wee bit.
I've still never seen that either.
What the fuck,
Oh.
man?
Honestly, my brother.
Maybe that's why you like Christmas. Although to be fair, the bit at the end of Grinch does kind of make you feel like you should like
I've cried a
Christmas.
few
Don't ruin
times.
it, guys.
I'll
Don't
admit
ruin
that.
it.
It is a
What?
bit sad.
Don't ruin it.
Well, it's just like sad and like
It's a full circle moment,
yes.
man. Makes you realise.
You wouldn't believe the amount of mega famous films that are meant to be phenomenal. I've still not watched, man.
Yeah, there's
To
this
be
one.
fair, I'm a bit like that as well. I only watched Grease for the first time like last year or something.
That's not right.
Aye.
That's
I
not
can't
right.
be bothered. I don't have the attention span to sit and watch a film,
Have
really.
you watched Grease?
I see that. There you go. And it's not worth it. Don't even bother.
What
It's
the
alright.
Is a music on it?
Aye.
It's perfection.
I don't
mate.
like all that, man.
John Travolta, mate. Makes you
I'll
realise,
watch
man.
it one day
Makes
just
you
because
realise
it's released,
how
know what I mean?
cool,
Aye.
like 60s American. There might be high schools, right? They're all at least 35, but it just shows you how cool, like 60s America school. Oh, mate, incredible.
I wouldn't bother. I'm
No?
like that. Yeah, there's hundreds of things like that I've not watched, but I was forced into watching that, and it was just alright. Like,
Just all right.
aye.
You're just thinking about fighting when it's on, aren't you?
Aye.
Well, there is just a scene where John Travolta starts.
Aye.
Starts wrestling, mate. It's quite gay, but it's a good kind. Do you know what I mean?
I don't actually.
No,
No, I don't.
basically, he's got him in referee's position, right? He's got him on all fours, and obviously, hand round the waist, one on the elbow, and John Travolta's like, "What is this?" And then he starts getting gay with him, and he throws an elbow or two.
I'll probably not
You
watch
like it? You want to know what movie I heard's quite good? Warrior. So fucking watch it, right? And we'll
I
reconvene.
might watch that, to be fair.
Look,
I feel
that's
like I
it.
should.
Watch it, it's perfect. And then Ted Lasso is a good TV series to watch.
That's my list of movies I've started to
Oh,
watch.
for God's sake.
Mate, that's not right, man. How'd you...
I can't be bothered. Well, I
Mate,
would
I'd
just
look at that
be
and be
up.
like fucking excited to watch this
Oh
one
no.
and wouldn't even watch it.
See, when somebody tells me something's good, straight away I'm like, I bet you it's not going to be good because I've like been told it's going to be good. Do you know what I mean by that?
Aye.
You put your expectations too high straight away, and I just think, it's not going to live up to what you've said.
Well, it can't live up to the fighting at the Hydro on your pro debut, to be fair. Nothing's really going to...
No, Grease wasn't quite up there with that.
No.
I always think, well, even more so for that, but see anybody says had like an amateur fight or a couple, whatever, like, see when it's all done and all that, see being able to say that you had that experience, and
Oh, aye.
99.9% of people will never get to experience something like that, or they never want to experience something like that. I mean, I think that's just a brilliant thing to say,
You should
regardless of how it goes.
You should do it. You're doing kickboxing and all that shit now. Maybe not the MMA.
You could
the-
just have
the
one.
kickboxing.
I don't think I would, if I'm being honest, I don't think I would put in the time that would be required to actually properly commit to it. You know what I mean, so it's obviously my fault. I'm just saying,
That's so sad.
I've got a lot of things that I prioritise.
Aye,
Aye,
mate.
probably too many. Actually.
Maybe if you watch Warrior, you'll change
If you
your
watch
Aye.
Warrior, it'll change
Right,
your
I'll
life.
fucking watch it. Right, I'll watch the film.
Trust me, it's excellent.
I don't know, it might be shite. I'm saying
It's
recommending something I've not
no,
even seen.
it's not. Tom Hardy's in it, and he's fucking traps are like big mountains, man.
Is he the teacher?
No, he's the
Oh, right.
he's the ex-army guy.
Right.
Can you imagine him being a teacher?
That's what I was thinking. He was well cooler than me.
Do you know what I mean? Fucking Tom Hardy being your teacher.
good
No,
if
he
he
looks
could
like
bite us.
he looks like a. Well, his character's American, right? Obviously, because why would it not be? Just looks like a pure roided up, scruffy cunt. It's quite cool though. It's actually quite a good character arc.
Right, I think we've got like 50 minutes left. For the first time, I asked to get some questions for people who
God, it's great to think.
aren't us.
Don't worry, don't worry. If they're shite, we'll still ask them, but we'll make sure to say it was shite beforehand.
Right.
And then after this, we always do at the end of the podcast, is we ask you 10 questions, 5 kind of related to
Okay.
MMA or martial arts, and then 5's just a bit of fun.
Right.
Right, so I'm literally just reading word for word, right? So if it's shite, it's not me.
Aye.
So Jolie asked, a lot of Scottish fighters have their camps abroad. Is there any plans to travel to America, etc., to prepare for future fights?
No, I don't. Well, not just now anyway. I think like in the summer there, I was meant to go to Thailand, and then when I joined Higher Level, I was like, you know, I actually think. Well, the first thing was fear in case I went to Thailand and get staff. So I had an issue where I was getting staff quite a lot, and then I've not had it for a while, and I was like, no, I just can't be asked with that. But also, I think like when you go somewhere like that, there's so many people. Whereas in Higher Level, there's like a kind of smaller group, and then James is obviously like an amazing coach. So I
Yep.
thought, I think I'm going to learn more if I stay here. Like, I think I can see why some people do that, but I don't. For me, just now, like the level of training I'm getting where I am, I just don't see that I would need to go somewhere else. But obviously, if James said in the future that he thought I should do that, then I would do it, like whatever. But I would still want to like be that. I would want higher level to be my main gym, unless like I really couldn't do that. But I don't have any plans to go and train anywhere else just now.
Right, a couple more. This is such a
Is it bad?
such a contrast. One is
Right.
like so light-hearted, and then one is like super dark.
Oh no,
No, not dark in a bad way, but it's you see what I mean, right?
right?
The first one is favourite football team. Don't know if you like football.
Kelly. But
Kelly.
I worked there for ages.
Aye.
I worked there for like 13 years, so
I thought you might
I
have
don't
said
really
that.
care about football. I just like it because.
The next one's how would you like to be remembered when you're dead?
Oh God. Well, I mean,
I think I get asked some questions. Let me get
just
mine.
I'd like. Well, I suppose it'd be cool to be able to say I had been like a UFC champion or something, but I'd just like to be remembered as being like a decent, alright person. To be honest, that's all anybody really wants in it. But if I can go down as being a decent, alright person with a UFC belt, that would be great. But
Yeah.
I don't really want to think about it when I'm dead.
I think it'll be fun.
If you got a few,
Give me a second.
You think it'll be fun? What, being dead?
Aye.
I don't. I don't think you'll even know about it.
Oh shit! I had somebody asking me some daft stuff,
Oh.
and I don't know if it's. I don't even know what it means. You might. I don't know if this person knows you or not, right?
Oh no.
I'm nervous.
So mad.
Oh, so am I. 'Cause see, when I read it, I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?" But I think it's genuinely like exactly what it says.
Right.
Right. Well, Fraser Clark. You know him. He's asked about 45 questions. Clearly a big fan.
Right.
I think favourite moment of our career so far. I think that's obvious. We've discussed
Well,
on
it might
that.
not be.
Oh,
So, I was actually talking about this the other day. So, obviously, PFL is like, it was amazing, but I would say it was the full experience, like, of everything about it that was, like, amazing. But my favourite actual moment so far in my career would be when I won the BMF title, because it was the first fight I had lost a round. And my opponent was it was Amy Derwans. She's like pretty decent jiu-jitsu every day. I felt as if in the lead up to camp, I just was getting the vibes from anyone who'd ever trained with her or had a competition against her, that like it was like, oh, who are you fighting? Amy Derwans. Ah, she's really, really good. And I'm like, aye, great, thanks. Brilliant. But then she beat me in the first 2 rounds, like definitely. She had me in like a fully locked in rear naked choke with like both hands in and a body triangle, my arm trapped in the first round. And I got out of that. And then she had me in an armbar the second round, and I'd never even lost a round. I'd never even been in a bad position in a fight. And then I came back in the third round and then won like round 3 and 4 and then finished on round 5. And that for me was the highlight, definitely. And that sounds mad because PFL, but that I'd say that was the best like experience overall. But that moment of winning that for me was like so far, that's my highlight. So
that's fair.
yeah.
You know what? That's fair. I'll give you that. Obviously, would you ever want to get to the UFC?
Yeah.
The UFC on your
Be cool.
plans? Be cool.
Aye. I think like PFL's great and they pay well and stuff. I think compared to UFC at the beginning, they say PFL's kind of better in that sense. But I think like, especially because I don't have a lot of time, probably either. I just think going to the UFC would be cool. And I think like some of my pals and that would be like, what are you doing if I didn't try and go to UFC? So aye, it'd be cool. I think if I've got the opportunity, I would need to take it.
And then this, fuck no, mate. I genuinely, I thought I was. You know what I mean? What is your favourite monkey news story?
Oh yes, I do not know about that.
No.
So, you know who Carol Pilkington is?
Yes.
So he used to do this XFM radio show with Ricky Gervais and Steve Merchant. They do this thing called Monkey News. Oh, I don't know what my favourite one is. There's so many good ones. Probably there's one where he says there's like a jockey that's no there and they replace it with a monkey and eats like fruit off a woman's hat or something. That's probably my favourite one. I can't believe you've never heard of Monkey News.
No.
You need to go get on it. There's loads of good
I
ones.
genuinely see where it get asked. I was like,
Monkey News.
Is that
That's
a
because I'm always posting about that podcast. I love it. It's my favourite. Aye.
Because
There's
in my
loads of
head
good
I was
Monkey
like,
News.
is this rude to my fucking...
It's just like he basically just make like I was about to say makes them up. he says he doesn't make them up. He says he's like finding these out or people are sending them in, but he basically just like makes up fake news stories about monkeys doing stuff like robbing banks and all that stuff. But or like a monkey that moves in with the zookeeper and goes off with his wife and all that. But my favourite one's probably one where he eats the fruit off the hat.
Right. We've got just under 10 minutes. If I've got it right. So quick fire, right? So
Right, okay. Stuff like that makes me feel nervous.
You're all right.
it's not quick.
I don't deal well with pressure apart from in fights. So let's see. I'll just might be rubbish at answering them.
Right,
I'll
so
try my best.
the 5 that are related to this, right?
Okay.
So and I asked Chris Duncan this stuff. If I don't say so myself, it was a good question, right? So I was quite interested.
Was it?
What's something that's really difficult about being an MMA fighter that most people wouldn't consider?
That most people wouldn't consider.
It could be something so simple. I think Chris, if I remember right, said about drinking water. Drinking enough water.
You do need to do that. I'm quite good at that. I'd say probably. I don't know. What's the hardest thing? There's loads of stuff that probably people wouldn't consider, but I don't know what they are because I don't know what people consider. But for me, the hardest thing is trying to balance like my time between like doing all the things I need to do for that, and then like try to see my pals in that, and then them understanding that I'm not just being an arsehole, and that actually it took me up till now for my pals to actually understand that when I say I'm like dead busy with training and eating and all that stuff that I need to do, I'm genuinely out the house from 7:30 in the morning till 10:15 at night.
Yeah.
It's probably just like making time for normal life stuff for me is the hardest thing.
Do you have a fighter in mind whose style you try to emulate, or do you just create your own?
Definitely just great moment. I wish I could watch someone and emulate their style, but I just just do my thing, see what happens.
And just one word, describe the feeling you have mid-fight.
Do you know, to be honest, I'd say like for me, I'm probably calm. That's the calmest I am. Seeing training in that, when I'm in sparring rounds, I'm much less calm than I am in a fight. Because seeing a fight, I've got somebody telling me what I need to do.
Yeah.
And it's like it's the point where everything like comes together. So calm. I'm in like survival mode at the same time, but I'd say probably like calm. Much calmer than I am in sparring.
Okay. Would you recommend to kids to pursue a career in MMA?
Yeah. Well, not a career, maybe. I would recommend them to at least train. And then I think it's definitely good to have like another. Like I think for me, being older, the one like massive benefit of that is I've already got a really good career behind me that I've got running alongside it. I think like probably for some people that's like doable just to go straight into that. But I'm glad that I've got something else because I know how kind of fickle it is, and obviously with injuries and stuff, you could be out for ages and you only get paid when you fight. For example, for me, if I never had my other job, I was meant to be fighting in December. I'm not, so I wouldn't get paid. Like, so stuff like that. I would say you need some kind of backup. Probably is sensible, but I would definitely encourage them to get into training, whether it's for career or not. Yeah.
If you could go back and watch any fight live for the first time.
Oh, I don't know. I don't actually really watch a lot of fights. I don't really do that.
I've heard that a lot.
I've heard that, I know.
A lot.
I honestly didn't even know what MMA was when I started training. I never even heard it. I'd heard of the UFC and that, but I didn't know what MMA was. I had honestly no idea. That's terrible. I feel bad because there'll be people that like love it, and then I'm just doing
I think
it.
that's the difference, though. A lot of people are too busy doing it to watch it.
I don't know.
You've got a coach, don't you? It's like you don't need to sit and fucking watch other people do what you're doing.
I will watch. See if someone tells me to go and watch a fight because it's useful to me for training. I will. But I don't like sit and watch the UFC or anything like that when it's on unless it's like someone I know or something. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe like go back and watch my own first fight or something. That'd be cool.
Fair.
It'd be terrible.
See how you've progressed.
Right. If you could drop into any time period in history, but you can't say anything later than 1945, so you need to jump in and live in this time.
Right.
Nothing later than.
Do you know what? I don't think I would do that.
I'm saying you need to choose a time.
Oh, you need to no, not.
I think
you need to give something.
Honestly, no, I'm saying I think I would just stay. I don't like I don't know. I don't like messing about with stuff like that. But would it change?
It's just.
Would it change?
I'm not going to force you to answer that.
No, like I don't know. I'm just wondering. I don't know. Maybe I would like to maybe go back to like the 90s. Well, I was born in 1990, so I'd maybe like to go back to like then, but be this age and see what it would be like to be older. But I don't know. I don't really like.
You wouldn't want to be kicking about 1945, no?
No, and I don't like. It makes me feel nervous. The thought, like, what if I like went back and done something that fucked everyone up? Who knows? I don't know.
Aye,
I'll
what
just
was
stay here.
What was it Mark said? Mark said they'd go to Egypt, but like fucking many years ago. And his biggest fear was, what is it he said? I fucking cut myself, I'd die. He's like, I'd die, it'd fucking be too hot, I'd die. Wouldn't have any food, so I'd die.
Exactly.
Like,
it's not worth it. It's not worth going back. It's just too risky.
I think 1945 would be cool.
Oh no.
Do you know why I said 1945? Aye.
Well,
No.
World War II, mate. But
Aye,
like,
that's why.
that's what I'm saying. I think it'd be cool, man. Kicking
Because
about.
I
Oh,
put that because if you say go back to a time, it'd just say like 2000 and something. That I mean, or 1990, whatever.
Yeah, I wish I could go back to 2001
Why?
so I could be reborn, man.
Is that when you were born?
Aye.
I'm so old.
And just rethink all my decisions to this point.
I think.
So
everyone's
would you
done
go
it.
back and be the age? No, because what if I picked an age before I was born? No, that was silly thing to say. Nah, I would like to just stay here.
You'd like to stay here. That's fair. You know what? That's fair enough. I don't blame you.
What I'd like to do is go back in time to when I was like 18 and start training. But maybe it wouldn't have. I maybe wouldn't have liked it, or I would have like gave it up or whatever at that time. Maybe it wasn't the right time for me. But I wish I'd started training earlier. That'd been good.
I think when you do it is the right time.
Mhm.
Everybody thinks like, oh, I wish I'd done it 10 years ago, but it wasn't. For
It maybe
you.
wouldn't have been the right time.
Aye,
Aye.
it wasn't for you then.
Yeah.
Like, you're only doing it now because it's fitting in
Yeah.
with your life. Do you know what I mean? Right. What's next?
That's my least favourite one, so I'll ask this next, right? If you were a professional sportswoman outside of combat sport, what would it be?
See, someone asked me this before. I really don't know. I'd love to be like, but does it need to be something I'm actually good at? Because I'm
No,
not
just-
good at any other sports.
Just
I'd love to like a gymnast or something. I think that just looks cool, like fancy moves. But I can't do any of them. Like I can't even do a handstand. So I mean, if I could
Can you
just
do a cartwheel?
well, actually, the Wayne's taught me how to do a cartwheel just last year, so I can
Mental.
do that now. But maybe that gymnast.
what's one conspiracy theory you're convinced is true?
Oh, I don't know whether I should. I'm not really convinced any are true, but I'd say I can be easily convinced to like question everything. Like every conspiracy, I'm like, oh my god, that sounds like that might be right. Like I'm terrible for getting like that. But I would say, I'm feared to say it in case folks.
I've
start
got
giving
one.
me
I've got one in my
abuse,
head. I know.
But I definitely don't think we went to the moon. I'll say that.
No, that one's fair. Oh, I didn't have that in my head.
I definitely
Wait,
don't
what
think
was
we
I
did.
don't think I
But-
can say what I've got in my head.
What do I know? I'm just a primary teaching MMA fighter.
No,
I don't know about
I agree. And the reason I agree is because the Russians were going to do it first. Obviously, the US needs to do everything better. And obviously, it was the moon race, wasn't it? Space race? Is that what it was called?
I don't know what it's called.
Anyway,
That sounds better.
the Russians done it first and they sent that wee fucking dug up at one point. I don't remember. No, they sent a dug to the moon.
Leica. I think his name was
I don't know
Leica.
anything, man.
Do you know more?
Do you want to
My
know
general knowledge
something?
is just
There was a wee bit of monkey news about that. There was a wee monkey that went, Yeah.
Monkey went as well.
and that's how I know about this. But they sent a dog, and apparently they sent the wee dog up, and then they couldn't get it back. So they knew how to get it up there, but they couldn't bring it back.
It's fucking sad.
No,
man.
it's
They were
tragic,
getting
man.
Elon
I
Musk
know.
fucking controlling
I think
markets
it was
and
called
shit. What
Leica.
we did.
we need to
So there
say
you
something
go.
really
I
happy.
learned that through monkey news, just so you know.
Amazing.
Right,
Educational.
two more. What's your proudest achievement outside of martial arts?
Oh. Do you know what? This is quite a weird one, but probably like this is like one of these things that you could have probably asked me millions of questions about. Now I'm whipping out of it like a minute to go, but like, so a few years ago, just before I started fighting, I just like uprooted my full life, moved out. I like had like a house. I was married and everything, and I just like uprooted my full life because I wasn't happy, and I moved away out on my own. And basically started everything over again, which I never thought I'd be able to do that. So that's probably my proudest achievement because it's quite a like scary thing to do. But
I know you just mentioned it, but I think it's mental. We've just found that out right at the end, man.
I know, sorry.
No,
And also, I used to be really scared of spiders, and I taught myself not to be scared of spiders, and now I catch them all the time. I've even got a wee spider tattoo, so that's probably my second
Fuck, I need to
proudest.
do that.
I
I'm shit.
we need to
scared.
discuss that, man. I am shit scared
Sorry.
of things, man.
There's two fucking big things right at the end.
Aye, I love that. It's like fucking
Season 2,
massive one.
next.
Genuinely asking, no a joke. How did you go about doing that? I'm actually asking for selfish reasons.
Well, the reason why I did it was I listened to David Goggins' book, right? And then I felt quite like attacked because I was like, he's basically saying like, if there's anything that's like getting in your way, it's because you're not like facing it. And I thought, oh God, I can't be like call myself a fighter and then I'm like fear of spiders and I'm like letting it because I live myself now as well. If there was a spider in my house, that would be like, what am I actually going to do about this? I need to phone somebody to come and get it. I couldn't cope with it myself. So I was like, right, I'm going to start dealing with it. So I started like killing them at first. If I found one, my first goal was like, right, you need to try and kill it because I was so terrified I couldn't even put like a glass over it. Couldn't go near it. Just had to phone someone, just cry and phone somebody to come and help me. That's actually what I was doing. So then I was like, right, if a wee one comes, you have to deal with it yourself. You need to kill it. Then my next step was you need to like cover it, get somebody to come and take it away. Then it was like cover it, put it out yourself. Then like now I'll catch like I had an absolute belter of one. Honestly, like it must have been like probably about that size in my house like a few months ago, and I was like, this is like the final boss because I've caught so many, and I thought like I was getting to the point where I was like, they're coming in my house and I'm not even freaking out now. I'm just catching them. And then that one came and I was like, holy fuck, it was massive. And then I had to use a pot to catch it. I couldn't use a glass. It was too big. And I put it out and I was actually like, the adrenaline buzz was like when you fight. I was like, I can't believe I've just caught that. And I just like, I don't know, just over time I've just get better at dealing with them. And now I'm like, I'm not scared of them. Like if I see one, I'm still like, oh no, but I can catch them and I'm not like terrified. So
That's class, man.
That's class.
aye.
The last one.
Last
You want to
one.
go say something first? No.
What?
You going to say something
No,
first?
I was just going to say the last question.
Okay, go for it.
The question.
This is one we ask every guest. So, anyway.
Right.
The question. Have you ever watched this before?
No.
This podcast? Oh, brilliant.
I've watched like clips, but I don't think I know what you're going to ask
That's
me. So.
fine. So every episode we make sure to ask this question. It doesn't have to do with MMA or anything like that. You can obviously make it. What is your most controversial opinion? One that's not going to get you in trouble, right?
I don't know. I'm being so boring because I don't think I've got like, I don't know. I feel like I can't think of what my opinions are on things unless you were to ask me what my opinion is on something, and maybe it would be controversial. I don't know. I'm rubbish that I can't answer that.
I think
to
now everybody's got an opinion that would be classed as controversial, don't they?
Aye, they do.
But you probably, like you're saying, you probably need somebody to ask you about it, and then you would say it, and then you think, oh, that's
Aye, I don't have like things that I think of that every time I say it, people are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you think that." Maybe I'm just easygoing. I don't know. Don't think I've got one. Sorry, that's shite. I gave you a really good answer to that last
He's
question.
so disappointed, man.
I had really good answers to that
I
other
was hoping
question.
that you were going to say something so outrageous.
No, I can't. I'm a teacher. I need to
everybody
be.
else.
No,
Or
I don't have.
short-circuiting
Like,
when you need
if I
it.
think of something, I'll get back to you. I don't think. I feel like people that know me will be sitting there thinking, if they watch it, like it'll be this, it's this, it's this. But I probably don't think they're that controversial.
That's fair.
Sorry, that
No,
was a
here.
shite answer.
So
But I
good.
absolutely down for the last
Nah.
bit. Sorry, don't know.
Yeah,
No,
that's what it is. Aye, that's what it is.
What time are we on? Is that 1:30?
Aye, wrap it up, buddy. On you go.
Taylor usually, so I start, Taylor ends it. So just,
All right, I'll end
I'll
it.
just give a fucking second. Going to say thanks for coming on. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for
And
having
I
me.
enjoyed the conversation. Actually, we don't normally go off in tangents like we've spoken about films and all that.
not my
We
fault.
usually keep it really related to combat sports stuff, but I really enjoyed that. Just having like the kind of casual conversation. That I mean,
Aye. Sorry, that's probably my fault. I'm always off on a tangent.
No, but I think that's
I actually do think it was more your fault than mine at some points.
everything's my fault. It's all good.
in case the camera wasn't on Gemma there, she was pointing at Taylor.
Pointing at me, the red heated bastard. But anyway, no, Gemma, thank you very much for coming on. Obviously, not sure how many of these you've done, but it's always good when we can get kind of.
This is my first podcast.
There
Actually,
we go. First
I've done
fucking.
quite a lot of like media
not even
things, but
that.
no podcasts.
What I'm going to say? Leather podcast. We had fucking Chris Duncan first. I'm just going to drop that in there. We had him first, right?
Oh, you've done all this hard work sucking up to Paul and now you're slagging his podcast.
Because fuck, we should be on. We tried to get him on the podcast and he told us to fuck off.
Oh.
No, I'm joking, he didn't. But just try to. Anyway, Gemma,
Well, he's
thank
not
you
gonna
very
come
much
on
for
now.
coming on. Nah, well, we're good people. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for
and
having
obviously,
me.
let's hope
Cheers.
in March time, like you're saying,
Yep.
we could get yourself another fight, or obviously in that tournament. And I know we'll
Yep.
be watching.
Should hopefully one more fight, then the tournament. Pick up a wee 100 grand and a belt.
100
and
grand
be
and a
on my
belt.
way. Aye.
Open up a wee self-defence studio, get the women's, then they're scrapping.
Yeah.
idea. I'm just throwing it out there. But anyway, thank you very much for coming
Thank
on.
you. Cheers.